A 7-year-old girl walked into a biker bar at midnight, holding a gun with trembling hands. Her voice cracked as she asked the room full of hardened men one desperate question: "Where is my mother?" But no one imagined what would come next. The Iron Fortress bar sat on the outskirts of Redemption Creek, Arizona, a town so small it barely appeared on maps. The bar was sacred space for the Desert Wolves Motorcycle Club. Inside, cigarette smoke mixed with whiskey and low rumble of men's voices. 12 members sat scattered across worn leather booths and bar stools. These weren't young men. These were veterans of life's hardest roads. Men in their 50s and 60s with gray beards, prison tattoos, and eyes that had seen things most couldn't imagine. At the bar sat Marcus Stone Callahan, 63, club president for 20 years. His face was a roadmap of regret. Deep lines carved by sun, wind, and decisions he couldn't take back. A scar ran from his left eye to his jaw. His leather vest was covered in patches, club insignia, memorial ribbons for fallen brothers, symbols of a life lived on the edge. Stone nursed his whiskey slowly, listening to his VP, Tommy Razor Martinez, tell a story about a run they'd done back in '98. The others laughed at the right moments. The door opened. Nobody looked up at first, but then conversations died like someone flipped a switch. Every head turned toward the entrance. A little girl stood in the doorway. She couldn't have been more than 7 years old. She wore pink pajamas with cartoon characters, completely wrong for the October chill. Her feet were in dirty sneakers with no socks. Her blonde hair was tangled, her face streaked with tears and dirt. But none of that was what made 12 hardened bikers freeze. It was the gun in her small hands. A revolver. Looked like a .38 Special, way too big for her grip. She held it with both hands, the barrel shaking violently. Her eyes were red from crying, but there was something else there too. Determination. Desperation. "Where is my mother?" Her voice was small but clear, cutting through the shocked silence like a blade. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. 12 men who'd faced down rival gangs and prison riots sat frozen, staring at a child holding a gun. Stone slowly set down his glass. He raised both hands slightly, palms out. His voice was careful and calm. "Easy now, little one. Easy. Nobody's gonna hurt you." "Where is she?" The girl's voice cracked, tears streaming. "You took her! I saw her! She was here 3 days ago talking to one of you, and then she never came home." Razor started to stand, but Stone shot him a look that said, "Stay down." At this range, with 12 people in the bar, even a wild shot could kill someone. "Okay," Stone said, keeping his voice steady. "Okay, sweetheart. We're gonna figure this out. But first, I need you to point that gun at the floor. Can you do that? Just point it down. Nobody's gonna rush you. You have my word." The girl's arms trembled with the weapon's weight. She couldn't have been holding it up long. Her muscles had to be screaming, but she didn't lower it. "I want my mom," she whispered, and the pain in those 4 words hit Stone harder than any punch. "Please, I just want my mom." Stone stood slowly, movements deliberate and non-threatening. He was a big man, 6'2", 240, most still muscle despite his age, but right now he needed to be as small and gentle as possible. "What's your name, honey?" he asked. "Lily." The gun barrel dipped slightly as exhaustion fought with fear. "Lily Martinez." The name hit the room like a grenade. Razor went pale. Stone's eyes cut to him sharply, and he saw guilt written all over his VP's face. "Lily Martinez," Stone repeated carefully. "And your mom's name?" "Isabella." "Isabella Martinez." Lily's voice broke. "She's been gone 3 days. 3 days. And nobody cares. The police said she probably just left, but she wouldn't leave me. She wouldn't." Stone's mind raced. Isabella Martinez. He knew that name. 3 days ago, she'd been here, at this bar. She'd walked in nervously and approached Razor. They'd talked for maybe 10 minutes. Stone had seen Razor's face go hard, seen him shake his head repeatedly, seen Isabella get upset and storm out. Stone had asked Razor about it later. "Nothing," Razor had said. "Just someone from the past asking for favors I can't give." Now, looking at Razor's pale face and this little girl with a gun, Stone realized there was much more to that story. "Tommy," Stone said quietly, never taking his eyes off Lily. "You want to tell me what's going on?" "Stone, Razor's voice cracked. "I didn't know. I swear to God I didn't know." "Didn't know what?" Stone's voice had an edge now. "What the hell did you do?" The tension in the Iron Fortress had become physical, pressing down on everyone. Lily's arms were shaking so badly the gun looked like it might slip from her grip any moment. Stone needed to de-escalate before someone got killed. Lily, Stone said, taking one careful step forward. I'm gonna be real honest with you. That gun is heavy and your arms are tired. I can see that. What I'm gonna do is walk over real slow and take it from you before you accidentally hurt yourself. Then we're all gonna sit down and figure out where your mama is. Sound fair? You'll help me find her? Lily's voice was so small, so desperate it broke something in Stone's chest. Yes, Stone said, and he meant it with every fiber of his being. You have my word. On my life, little one. We will find your mother. Lily searched his face with those red, swollen eyes. Whatever she saw there satisfied her because slowly, she lowered the gun. Stone closed the distance in 3 strides, gently taking the revolver. He checked it immediately. Loaded, 5 rounds, safety off. Jesus Christ. This kid had been one trigger pull away from changing lives forever. He engaged the safety and handed it to Doc, the club's sergeant-at-arms. Put that somewhere secure. Stone knelt in front of Lily, making himself small, making himself safe. Up close, he could see she was shivering. Her pajamas were thin, completely inadequate for the desert night. Her feet looked like they'd walked a long way. How far did you walk to get here? Stone asked gently. From home, Lily whispered. Maybe 2 miles? I don't know. It was dark. 2 miles. A 7-year-old had walked 2 miles through the desert night carrying a gun to confront a bar full of bikers. The courage or desperation that required was staggering. That was real brave, Stone said. Real brave. But also real dangerous, Lily. You understand that? She nodded, tears streaming fresh. Now that adrenaline was wearing off, reality was probably hitting her. She started to shake harder, breath coming in gasps. Hey, it's okay, Stone said. You're safe now. Nobody's mad at you. A woman appeared from the back office. Carla, the bar manager and Stone's longtime friend. She was in her 50s, tough as nails, but her face went soft when she saw Lily. Jesus, that child needs a blanket. Get it, Stone said, and called Doc Martinez. Not the cops yet, Doc first. Carla returned with a worn but clean blanket that she wrapped around Lily's shoulders. The girl clutched it like a lifeline, teeth chattering. Stone stood and turned to his club. His eyes found Razor. Tommy, my office now. Stone, now. Stone picked up Lily. She weighed almost nothing, and carried her to a booth near the back. He set her down gently. Carla appeared with hot chocolate, and Lily wrapped her small hands around the mug like it was treasure. I'm gonna talk to Tommy, Stone told her. Carla's gonna stay right here with you. You're safe, Lily. I promise. He walked to his office, a small room behind the bar. Razor followed, and Stone shut the door. For a moment, they just stared at each other. 25 years of brotherhood hanging in the balance. Talk, Stone said. And don't you dare lie to me. Razor ran both hands through his graying hair. Isabella Martinez is my ex-wife, he said finally. From before I joined the club, before I went to prison the first time. We were married for 2 years, way back in '92. When I got locked up for assault, she divorced me. She was pregnant. Didn't need a con for a husband. Stone felt cold spreading through his chest. Lily, Razor confirmed. My daughter. I haven't seen her since she was a baby. Haven't been part of her life. Isabella made it clear she didn't want me around. So Isabella came here 3 days ago, Stone said slowly. Why? Razor's face crumpled. She was in trouble. Deep trouble. She owed money to Vince Calloway, that loan shark who operates out of Phoenix. $15,000 she borrowed to pay for her mom's cancer treatment. The interest got out of control. Vince was threatening her, threatening to hurt Lily if she didn't pay. Stone's hands clenched into fists. Vince Calloway. He knew the name. Small-time criminal who ran a predatory lending operation targeting desperate people. She came here asking for help, Stone said. Yeah, Razor whispered. She begged me, and I told her no. I told her I couldn't help, that it wasn't my problem anymore, that she'd made her choice when she divorced me. You son of a bitch. I know! Razor's voice broke. I was angry that she'd kept my daughter from me all these years, angry that she only reached out when she needed something, so I turned her away. And then what happened? She left. I figured she'd find another way. I didn't think... He stopped, face going paler. Oh God, you don't think Vince... What I think, Stone said, is that we need to find Isabella Martinez right now. Because if Vince Calloway has her, we've got about 24 hours before something real bad happens. Stone opened the office door and found Doc standing there, the club's oldest member at 72. Doc, I need you to check on that little girl. Make sure she's not hurt. Not in shock. Already done, Doc said quietly. She's physically okay. Emotionally, that kid's running on fumes and fear. She needs her mother, Stone. We're gonna get her mother, Stone said. He walked back into the main bar, and every eye turned to him. These men had ridden with him through hell and back. Now he needed them for something more important than any of that. Brothers, Stone said, his voice carrying command weight. We've got a situation. He laid out the situation with brutal honesty. He didn't sugarcoat Razor's failure, didn't make excuses. A woman was missing, possibly in the hands of a dangerous loan shark, and her 7-year-old daughter had walked through the night to find help. So here's what's gonna happen, Stone said. We're gonna find Isabella Martinez. We're gonna get her back safely, and then we're gonna have a conversation with Vince Calloway about how predatory lending isn't welcome in our territory. Stone, one member, a man named Grease, spoke up. Vince has connections with the Phoenix crew. We go after him, we might be starting something bigger than we can finish. Then we'll finish it anyway, Stone said flatly. Look at that little girl. Look at her and tell me we're gonna let her mother rot because we're worried about complications. Every head turned toward Lily, curled up in the booth with Carla, the blanket wrapped tight. Her eyes were closed now, exhaustion finally overtaking fear. We ride, Doc said quietly. One by one, the others nodded. Stone turned to Razor. Tommy, you're gonna tell us everything you know about Vince Calloway. Where he operates, who he runs with, where he might take someone he's holding. Razor nodded. His main operation is a pawn shop in South Phoenix. But for people he's really got problems with, there's a warehouse on the east side, near old railroad tracks, abandoned meatpacking plant. The implication hung heavy. Vince Calloway wasn't just a loan shark. He was dangerous in ways that could turn fatal. Stone made quick decisions. Doc, you stay here with Lily. Keep her safe. Keep her calm. Grease, Tiny, Hammer, you're with me and Razor. The rest of you, make calls. Reach out to contacts in Phoenix. Find out if anyone's heard anything about Vince moving a woman in the last 3 days. Be discreet but fast. The club moved into action with practiced efficiency. Stone grabbed his leather jacket and keys. He looked at Razor. You better hope we're not too late. Because if that woman's dead, you're gonna have to look your daughter in the eye and explain why. Razor's face crumpled, but Stone had no sympathy to spare. He walked over to where Lily was lying down, breathing finely even with exhausted sleep. Doc sat beside her like a guardian angel. We're gonna bring her mama home, Stone told Doc quietly. I know you will, Doc said. Just be careful. Vince Calloway is smart and mean. Neither are we, Stone said. Outside, the night air was crisp and cold. Stone's Harley sat waiting, chrome gleaming. Grease, Tiny, and Hammer were already mounted, engines rumbling. Razor came out last, looking like a man walking to execution. Mount up, Stone said. And Tommy, if you've lied about any of this, I will leave you in that warehouse, understood? Understood, Razor whispered. They rode out at 1:47 a.m., 5 motorcycles heading toward Phoenix with purpose and fury. The sound of their engines echoed across the desert, a war cry in darkness. Behind them in the bar, Lily stirred in her sleep and whispered one word, Mama. Doc pulled the blanket higher around her shoulders. He's gonna bring her back, little one. Stone always keeps his promises. Stone's phone rang. One of the members calling with information. Stone answered, listening, his jaw tightening. Good work, he said finally. We're heading there now. He looked at his brothers riding beside him. Vince has her, he said. Warehouse on the east side, just like Razor said. But there's more. Vince isn't holding her for ransom anymore. What do you mean? Grease asked. I mean, Stone said, voice colder than the desert night. He's planning to sell her. Human trafficking. There's a buyer coming tomorrow morning. The words hung in the air like poison. Razor made a sound that might have been a sob. We've got maybe 6 hours, Stone said. After that, Isabella Martinez disappears forever, and that little girl loses her mother for good. So we ride fast, we hit hard, and we don't stop until she's safe. Questions? No questions, Hammer growled. He was the biggest of them, 6'6", 300 pounds. Let's go get her. They opened their throttles and 5 Harleys screamed toward Phoenix like avenging angels. The desert wolves were riding to war, and God help anyone who stood in their way. The ride to Phoenix took 43 minutes at speeds that would have gotten them all arrested. But at 2:30 a.m., on a Tuesday, the highways were mostly empty, and the desert wolves rode like men possessed. The warehouse district on Phoenix's east side was a graveyard of American manufacturing, abandoned buildings with broken windows, rusted railroad tracks leading nowhere, Chain link fences crowned with razor wire, the kind of place where bad things happened and nobody asked questions. Stone killed his headlight 2 blocks out, signaling the others to do the same. They coasted into shadows near the old meatpacking plant, a 3-story concrete structure that looked like it had been rotting since the 80s. A single light glowed from a 2nd-floor window, the only sign of life. They dismounted silently, years of experience making them move like ghosts despite their size and age. Stone gathered them in a tight circle, speaking in whispers. "Grease, you and Tiny circle around back. Find the rear entrance. Watch for runners. Hammer, you're with me and Razor on the front. We go in quiet, assess the situation, locate Isabella before we make noise. If shooting starts, remember? Isabella is priority 1. What about Vince?" Hammer asked, voice a low rumble. "Vince is mine," Stone said flatly. "Nobody touches him but me. Understood?" They nodded. Razor looked like he might vomit. Stone grabbed his shoulder hard. "Tommy, I know you're scared. I know you feel guilty. But right now, I need you sharp. Your daughter is counting on us. So you put your fear in a box, lock it down, and do your job. Clear?" "Clear," Razor whispered. They moved toward the building. The front entrance was a loading dock with a roll-up door pried open just enough for a person to slip through. Stone went first, eyes adjusting to the deeper darkness. The smell hit him immediately. Old blood, rust, fear. This place had seen violence before. The interior was a maze of hanging chains, metal hooks, and conveyor systems that hadn't moved in decades. Stone moved through it like he'd done 100 tactical entries, which he had back in his younger days. Behind him, Hammer and Razor followed, boots silent on concrete. Voices drifted down from the 2nd floor. Male voices laughing about something. Stone counted at least 3 distinct speakers, maybe 4. Not great odds, but not impossible. He found a metal staircase and started climbing, each step careful and deliberate. At the top, a corridor stretched toward the lighted room. The door was partially open, and through the gap, Stone could see movement. He edged closer, peering through. His blood turned to ice. Isabella Martinez sat in a metal chair in the center of the room, her hands zip-tied behind her back, her face bruised and swollen. She was conscious, but barely, head lolling forward, dark hair hanging in matted tangles. She wore the same clothes she'd probably been wearing 3 days ago, now torn and filthy. Blood had dried on her split lip. 4 men were in the room. 3 were muscle, big guys with prison tattoos and weapons in their waistbands. They looked bored, playing cards at a folding table. The 4th man was Vince Calloway. Stone had seen pictures, but they didn't capture the casual cruelty in Vince's face. He was in his mid-40s, well-dressed in slacks and a button-down that seemed absurdly out of place. He was on his phone, speaking in low tones. "Yeah, the merchandise is ready," Vince was saying. "She's been compliant. Some damage, but nothing your buyer can't overlook. Cash only, just like we agreed. 7 a.m., loading dock entrance. Merchandise." The word made Stone's vision go red. This piece of human garbage was selling a woman, a mother, like she was a used car. Stone retreated down the corridor to where Hammer and Razor waited. He held up 4 fingers, then pointed to his eyes and made a cutting gesture across his throat. The message was clear. 4 hostiles. Lethal force authorized. Razor was shaking, but he nodded. Hammer cracked his knuckles silently. Stone checked his watch. 2:47 a.m. In his pocket, his phone vibrated. A text from Grease. "Rear secured. 2 guards outside neutralized. Ready on your signal." Stone typed back. "On 3. Front entrance. Make noise." He counted down on his fingers. 3, 2, 1. The sound of breaking glass and shouting erupted from the rear. Inside the room, the card game exploded into action. Chairs scraping, weapons being drawn, men shouting questions. "The fuck was that?" one yelled. "Go check it out," Vince snapped. "Take Jimmy with you. Carlos, you stay here with me and watch the woman." 2 thugs ran out, heading toward the rear staircase. That left Vince and 1 guard, Carlos, in the room with Isabella. Stone waited until the 2 runners had passed their position, then he moved. He came through the door fast and low, Hammer right behind. Carlos barely had time to register their presence before Hammer's massive fist connected with his jaw, dropping him like a stone. Vince spun, reaching for something on the table, but Stone was faster. He grabbed Vince by the throat and slammed him against the wall hard enough to crack the drywall. "Hello, Vince," Stone said quietly. "We need to talk." Vince Calloway's eyes went wide with shock as Stone's hand tightened around his throat. The loan shark was strong, Stone could feel him trying to break free, but Stone had 40 years of bar fights and prison yards behind him. Vince wasn't going anywhere. "You're making a mistake," Vince gasped. "You don't know who you're—" Stone slammed him against the wall again, harder. "I know exactly who I'm dealing with. A piece of shit who preys on desperate people, who beats women, who sells human beings like merchandise." His voice dropped to something barely above a whisper, somehow more terrifying than shouting. "Where I come from, Vince, we kill people like you." Behind them, Razor had rushed to Isabella. He was cutting the zip ties with a knife, hands shaking so badly he nearly cut her wrists. "Isabella," he was saying, voice breaking. "Isabella, I'm so sorry, I'm so goddamn sorry." Isabella's eyes fluttered open, confusion and pain written across her battered face. When she recognized Razor, something complicated passed through her expression. Anger, relief, betrayal, hope, all mixed together. "Tommy?" she whispered. "Where's Lily? Is Lily safe?" "She's safe," Razor said, tears streaming. "She's with friends. She came looking for you, Isabella. She came to our clubhouse with a gun demanding we find you." Isabella's eyes widened, then filled with tears. "My baby. Oh God, my baby." Hammer had secured Carlos with zip ties and was now standing guard at the door, listening for the other two thugs. From downstairs, Stone could hear sounds of fighting. Grease and Tiny dealing with Vince's other guards. Stone turned his attention back to Vince. "Here's what's gonna happen. You're gonna call off your buyer. You're gonna forgive Isabella's debt, and then you're gonna leave this state and never come back. Because if I ever hear your name again, if I ever hear about you hurting anyone else, I will find you. And what I do to you will make tonight look like mercy." "You can't," Vince started. Stone's fist connected with Vince's stomach, doubling him over. "I wasn't asking your opinion. I was telling you how this ends. Do we understand each other?" Vince nodded, gasping for air. "Good," Stone said. He released Vince, letting him collapse to the floor. "Now get out, run, and remember, I have brothers everywhere. You can't hide from the desert wolves." Vince scrambled to his feet and ran, expensive shoes slipping on concrete in his haste to escape. Stone let him go. He'd made his point. Besides, word would spread about what happened here tonight. Other predators would think twice before operating in Desert Wolves' territory. Stone knelt beside Isabella, voice gentle in a way that would have surprised people who only knew his hard exterior. "Ma'am, my name is Stone. I'm president of the Desert Wolves. We're gonna get you home to your daughter. Can you walk?" Isabella tried to stand, but her legs buckled. Razor caught her, and this time Isabella didn't pull away. She leaned into him, exhausted and in pain, but alive. "Lily," Isabella whispered. "I need to see Lily." "We're taking you to her right now," Stone promised. Hammer appeared in the doorway. Grease and Tiny secured the other two. "Building's clear, but we should move. Somebody might have called cops when the fighting started." They made their way down and out through the loading dock. The night air felt clean after the stench inside. Grease and Tiny were standing over two unconscious men, knuckles bloody but faces satisfied. "Good work," Stone said. He looked at Isabella, barely standing even with Razor supporting her. "We can't put her on a bike in this condition. Grease, call Carla. Tell her to bring the van." 20 minutes later, Carla pulled up in the Desert Wolves' beat-up cargo van. She took one look at Isabella, and her expression went fierce with maternal anger. "Those bastards!" she hissed. "Come on, honey. Let's get you home." They loaded Isabella into the van, Razor climbing in beside her. Stone rode back with the others, the pre-dawn desert air cold against his face. The adrenaline was wearing off, replaced by exhaustion and deep satisfaction of having done something right in a life that had seen too much wrong. They reached the Iron Fortress just as the sun was beginning to paint the eastern sky pink and gold. Doc met them at the door, face drawn with worry that transformed to relief when he saw Isabella. "She okay?" Doc asked. "She will be," Stone said. "Where's Lily?" "Sleeping in my office. Kid fought it for hours, but exhaustion finally won." They carried Isabella inside and laid her gently on a couch. Doc immediately began examining her injuries. Nothing life-threatening, he determined, but she'd need proper medical attention soon. Bruised ribs, possible concussion, dehydration, shock. "Should we call an ambulance?" Carla asked. "Let's ask her," Stone said. He knelt beside Isabella. "Ma'am, you need medical attention. We can call an ambulance or we can have Doc here. He's a trained medic, patch you up. Your choice." Isabella's eyes were clearer now, some strength returning. "No hospitals," she said firmly. "No police. I can't afford the questions, the reports. I just want my daughter. Stone understood. People like Isabella had learned that involving authorities often made things worse, not better. Doc, do what you can, Stone said. As Doc worked on Isabella's injuries, Stone walked to his office where Lily still slept, curled up in his desk chair with the blanket. She looked so small, so innocent. Hard to believe this little girl had marched into their bar with a gun just hours ago. He touched her shoulder gently. Lily, honey, wake up. Her eyes opened slowly, confusion giving way to fear, giving way to hope as she remembered where she was. Did you find her? She asked, voice thick with sleep. Did you find my mom? Yeah, sweetheart, Stone said softly. We found her. She's right outside. She's hurt, but she's gonna be okay. You ready to see her? Lily was out of the chair before Stone finished speaking, the blanket falling forgotten. She ran into the main bar and stopped dead when she saw Isabella on the couch, face battered and bruised, Doc working on cleaning her wounds. Mama? It came out as barely a whisper. Isabella's head turned, and despite the pain it must have caused, she smiled. A beautiful, genuine smile that transformed her damaged face. Baby. Oh, baby, come here. Lily ran, throwing herself into her mother's arms with such force that Doc had to steady them both. Isabella held her daughter like she'd never let go, tears streaming down both their faces, both saying, I love you, over and over. There wasn't a dry eye in the Iron Fortress. These hardened bikers stood watching a mother and daughter reunited and felt something they didn't often allow themselves to feel. Hope. Redemption. Stone caught Razor's eye. The VP was standing apart, watching his daughter meet his ex-wife with an expression of such profound guilt and longing. It was painful to witness. Tommy, Stone said quietly. You got something to say to them. Now's the time. Razor approached slowly. Isabella, he said softly. I'm sorry. I'm so goddamn sorry for everything. For turning you away. For not being there when you needed help. For not being a father to Lily. Isabella looked at him for a long moment. Finally, she said, You came. When it mattered most, you came. Stone came, Razor corrected. I just followed. You came, Isabella repeated firmly. That's what matters. She looked at Lily, who was staring at Razor with curious eyes. Lily, honey, there's something I need to tell you. This is Tommy. He's your father. Lily's eyes went very wide. She looked at Razor, taking in his leather vest, his tattoos, his weathered face. My dad. Yeah, Razor said, voice breaking. I'm your dad, and I know I haven't been around. I know I've got no right to ask for anything, but if you'll let me, I'd like to try. I'd like to be part of your life if that's okay with you and your mama. Lily studied him for what felt like forever. Then she said, You helped save my mom. I did. That's what dads are supposed to do, right? Protect their family? Yeah, Razor whispered. That's exactly what they're supposed to do. Lily looked at her mother, who nodded with tears in her eyes. Then Lily took one tentative step toward Razor, then another. Then she was hugging him, and Razor was crying like Stone had never seen him cry. Holding his daughter for the first time in 7 years, Stone turned away, giving them privacy. He walked outside into the morning sun, feeling warmth on his face. Hammer joined him, lighting a cigarette. Hell of a night, Hammer said. Hell of a night, Stone agreed. They stood in comfortable silence. Then Stone said, You know what the crazy thing is? That little girl, 7 years old, she did what we should have done 3 days ago. She saw someone needed help, and she helped. No hesitation, no excuses, she just acted. Kids got more courage than most men I know, Hammer agreed. Makes you think, Stone said, about who we are, what we're doing with the time we've got left. Back inside, Doc had finished patching up Isabella. Carla had made coffee and breakfast, and Lily was sitting between her parents, awkward, uncertain, but together, eating pancakes. Stone watched them for a moment, then made a decision. He walked over to where the club members were gathered. Brothers, he said, I think it's time we had a talk about what the Desert Wolves stand for. We've spent a lot of years riding for ourselves, looking out for our own, maybe not always doing right by the community around us. But tonight a little girl reminded me why we formed this club in the first place. Brotherhood means protecting people who can't protect themselves. It means standing up to bullies and predators. It means being better than what the world expects from men like us. The members listened, faces serious. So here's what I'm proposing, Stone continued. The Desert Wolves become more than just a motorcycle club. We become a resource for people like Isabella, single mothers in trouble, kids in bad situations, people being preyed on by pieces of shit like Vince Calloway. We've got connections, we've got muscle, we've got experience. Let's use that for something good. Doc spoke up first. I'm in. Been thinking for years we needed a better purpose. One by one, the others agreed. Even Razor, still holding his daughter's hand like he was afraid she'd disappear, nodded firmly. I'm in. Time I started being the man my daughter deserves. Then it's settled, Stone said. The desert wolves ride for justice. Lily looked up from her pancakes, syrup on her face, and said in her small, clear voice, Thank you for saving my mom. Stone knelt down to her level. Thank you for reminding us what's important, little one. You're braver than any of us. I was scared, Lily admitted. Being brave doesn't mean you're not scared, Stone said. It means you do what needs doing even when you're terrified. You walked into a bar full of scary-looking bikers and demanded they help you. That's courage, Lily. Real courage. She smiled at him. And in that smile, Stone saw something he'd thought he'd lost decades ago. Redemption. A chance to be more than his mistakes. A chance to matter in a way that helped instead of hurt. As the sun climbed higher and the Arizona morning turned warm, the desert wolves sat with Isabella and Lily, making plans. They'd help Isabella find safe housing. Razor would step up as a father, with the club's support. They'd put out word that anyone preying on vulnerable people in their territory would answer to them. And in a dingy office at the Iron Fortress bar, a 7-year-old girl's pink pajamas lay folded on Stone's desk, next to the .38 revolver that had started it all, a strange monument to courage, desperation, and the unexpected ways that broken people could still save each other. Stone looked at that gun and made himself a promise. No child should ever have to walk into danger the way Lily had. From now on, the desert wolves would make sure they didn't have to. They'd be the ones walking into danger instead. Not for money, not for reputation, but because it was right. Because sometimes the most important thing a person can do is show up when someone needs help. And sometimes the most unlikely heroes are the ones who've been down the darkest roads because they know what it's like to need saving, and they remember how good it felt when someone showed up for them. The desert wolves had been reminded of that by a little girl with a gun and the courage to use it, and they'd never forget.